friends, I am the Anti-Terrorist. Thank you for all of your emails and your messages of support, and for staying part of the conversation. Well, the pace is picking up a tad, isn't it? Things are moving a little fast these days. It's almost as though we're on a horse ride and we're halfway around and the horses know exactly where the stables are and they start to gallop. So now I think would be a good time to talk about food, considering the pace at which things are occurring at the moment. So before we begin with what's for breakfast, lunch and dinner for the next year or so, I'd like to address a few terms and why I've settled on a particular one for this broadcast. Stockpiling is the term used by the state to describe what they do. Hoarding is the term employed by the state to describe what you do when you do your own stockpiling. My preferred term is food cache. Explorers into unknown territories cache food in selected spots to help them survive their journey, which to me sounds like the more empowering perspective to take. Now, when I began my own cache several years ago, I took the time to learn what returns the most food value for the least expenditure of money, the least energy to obtain and maintain, and the longest storage life. And what I discovered is that it's vital to strengthen endurance to eat a complete protein every day. With the exception of only 2 or 3 vegetables, most complete proteins are found in meat, fish, eggs, and dairy products, all of which require the most money and energy to obtain, and all of which have the shortest term of storage. So it was vital to learn to combine plants to make a complete protein, and the classic answer that came up every time was beans combined with some sort of grain, as in beans and tortillas, beans and rice, and that old English classic, beans on toast. When combined, these 2 simple foods have all the amino acids to make a complete protein. As far as your body's concerned, it thinks you're eating meat. Just ask the Mexicans, the Cubans, the Africans, the South Americans, the Japanese, the Italians. Beans and grain equals cheap, tasty, fundamental nutrition. So in the past 3 years, we've all seen food prices rising, which in my opinion makes long-term food storage one of the best investments you can make. With our currency's purchasing power dropping every month, would you really rather have it in the bank right now, earning 1% interest, or on your shelves as food prices climb 10% every season? So when you go shopping, there are a few things you might want to consider. Buy only what you like to eat. Most of the people I know who went with the ready-made meals option, or the freeze-dried camping meals option 10 years ago, are only now just knocking the cobwebs off the foil packs when they rediscover them behind the big box of Christmas decorations in the basement or the attic. If you buy only what you're going to eat, no matter what may be ahead of us, the food won't go to waste. Who knows? Maybe hard times won't come at all and we'll wake up to discover it's all been an enormous practical joke, and we'll celebrate with a feast. Barterables are your friend. And barterables translates into just about anything that constitutes a luxury item in hard times, specifically the big 3, sugar, tobacco, and liquor. Now, properly stored, sugar and tobacco will keep well, and liquor, as you probably know, lasts forever. The Achilles heel of most urban caches is fresh veg, milk, and eggs, and you'll be prepared to barter for them. Stay under the radar. Walk a balance between making your stash discreet, yet still easy to get to. Pay with cash when you can, and don't rack up a mega purchase of rice or barterable items on a credit card. And under no circumstances use a loyalty card at the supermarket. So here's how to protect that investment. The 6 enemies of your food cache will be air, light, temperature, humidity, pests, and bragging about it to anyone outside your circle of trust. Well, let me amend that. Don't brag about it at all. The number 1 storage choice is fermenting bins, which are available from brew shops or brewery supply shops. The lids snap tight, they're made of food-grade heavy-duty plastic, they stack securely and they usually come with a very strong handle. And you can tape up the bunghole in the lid to maintain the atmosphere inside. If you can't find these bins or you can't afford them, then a cheaper but less effective solution would be the vacuum clothing bags you can buy from most stores. Do make sure you tape up all of the seams before you vacuum the air out. On an added safety note, beans and rice are heavy. Now if you live in an upstairs apartment, watch the weight of what you're storing, unless you really despise your downstairs neighbor. In the sidebar, there's a link to a URL that will take you to a list of the first 100 things that go missing in the shops in an emergency. it would serve you well to study it. You don't have to buy them all, but you should definitely give some thought to all of them. For example, you might not use disposable nappies in your home, but they may be worth quite a bit to a person who needs them and wants to trade them for something you might need. Coffee is another, and so are disposable lighters. And until you've had to live without toilet paper, you never realize how much more pleasant your life can be by having it. Now, I'm aware there are two schools of thought on preparedness in dire circumstances, and they both break down to either staying to guard your family and your cache of goodies, or heading out to live off the land. So say you're a young single guy in rented accommodation, no one to look after but yourself and maybe your faithful mutt. The absolute best resource I can recommend is either the SAS Survival Handbook by John Lofty Wiseman, or any book on bushcraft by Ray Mears. There are links on the sidebar. Another big topic is maintaining your health. Now, I'm not a doctor and I don't play one in this broadcast, but I will provide a link to my main resource for self-education. I've chosen earthclinic.com for its clarity and straightforwardness, and for the many commentaries by people who've accepted or discovered an entirely new way to take charge of their own health. There's a link in the sidebar and in the support documents provided as a download from the AT website. Again, I feel a strong urgency to encourage you to embrace responsibility for your own nourishment and health, because it has been repeatedly proven to me that my adversary in this game doesn't care one way or another about the quality of my life, and in fact is actively seeking to lower this quality even further by pushing the implementation of a charming bit of draconian planning entitled Codex Alimentarius. In our adversary's usual default mode of spinning the unthinkable in order to make it seem desirable, Codex is obviously for our protection. In fact, the elite who drafted Codex wants to protect us so very much that they are willing to make your vitamin supplements a controlled substance available only through prescription, and to standardize and genetically engineer our food to the point that any taste or nutrition has been stripped in an effort to increase shelf life, visual uniformity, and profits for international food manufacturers.
This time it's about vitamins. It's a huge industry in this country. So many people take them, hoping for health benefits and to ward off illness and disease, including cancer. But do those vitamin supplements work? There's a new study on that topic tonight. Our chief science correspondent, Robert Bazell, has taken a look.
Today's results found that selenium, vitamin C, and vitamin E do nothing to reduce prostate cancer risk.
A lot of people thought that this would indeed show a reduction in risk of cancer, but it did not come about.
These trials are the large and expensive kind, designed to answer a question once and for all. One trial followed 14,000 men for 10 years, the other 35,000 men for 3 years. They found that men taking the supplements and vitamins, alone or in combination, had the same rate of prostate cancer as men taking placebos, dummy pills. Such failures of large vitamin trials are becoming a familiar story.
There's always a strong desire to find a quick fix and a magic bullet that will be very easy, something as easy as popping a pill. However, so far it's been one disappointing randomized trial after another.
In the last year alone, well-controlled trials have found various vitamins not effective in reducing the risk of heart disease, certain cancers, and slowing the progression of Alzheimer's disease.
Here's to us and my vitamins.
Such news has little effect on people like Nancy and Lou Garippo, who take several supplements every day.
I don't believe that we get what we need from the foods that we eat anymore. They're so processed.
Scientists point out that a multitude of studies show that a healthy diet, rich in fresh fruits and vegetables, reduces the risk for many diseases. But vitamin or supplement pills have so far not made much difference when put to the test.
Now, this is an enormous topic, and I can't cover every aspect of nutrition I'd like to within this time constraint, but I urge you, as always, to take responsibility for how you will care for yourself and the people you love by first of all educating yourself. Or you can get on the nice bus and ride to the nice camp with the nice cots. If you're lucky, 1 meal a day of school cafeteria-style food. Yummy. Your larder of last resort may seem like a sizable investment, but it's nothing compared to the return you'll reap from educating yourself in order to make the best decision for you and the ones you care for. I think you'll agree. Thanks for listening.
It's people Soylent Green is made out of people.
You gotta tell them Soylent Green is people!